Hello, BookTube. It's Roz, and this is a huge thank you video because just this last week I hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, these things are kind of arbitrary milestones, aren't they? But I have to say, when I started this channel a year and a bit ago, it never crossed my mind that I might find myself with 1,000 subscribers. So this is a huge thank you and appreciation for all you daft and lovely people who have chosen to join me in a very low tech approach to BookTube. You know, this is not highly polished, and talking about books that are not always the most, I don't know, obviously popular and frequently read books. So I'm both amazed and touched and delighted because it's just so lovely sharing books with the BookTube community. It's turned out to be a joy for me. So now, having spotted that I hit 1,000 subscribers, it was like that feeling that one ought to mark this event. People do, don't they? Even if it's a bit silly. And uh, the sort of normal thing to do seems to be to do a Q&A, a question and answer video. And you know what? I thought about that and thought perhaps I should. And I thought it's just not a Roz thing. It's not. It's just not me at all. It doesn't fit with the my take on life, I suppose. I'm much more interested in the books than I am in me. But I had a conversation with the lovely Shawn the Book Maniac, who's one of those gorgeous people that I've met through BookTube, and he told me that when he hit a similar milestone, I think it was 1,000 subscribers, he did a giveaway of books, and I thought, yes, that's much more Roz. That does appeal because it's how do you celebrate happy events with presents? So, and it's a way of thanking people for watching and yeah, for keeping me company. So it's not just me talking into the ether with no one on the other side, because this has to be a conversation for me. And then if I was going to do a giveaway, what kind of giveaway should it be? Obviously, it has to connect with Scallydandling, doesn't it? That you know, when I started this channel, one of my key intentions, or something that I thought, well, wasn't exactly the same as every other booktuber out there, was wanting to share with other readers my enthusiasm for reading books by authors from all around the world, and not just the countries where have the strongest international market, and not just the sort of anglophone, British American, yeah, that dominates a lot of the things that yeah that we see here, certainly, but also I think do often in other countries as well. As in, if something's going to get translated in other places, it's often going to be an American or a British or an Irish or book, not and how limiting that is. So I have picked slightly at random a selection of books I had on my shelves, and they're all books from places where if most people who don't live in that place are unlikely, I think, to own a book by an author that hails from that place. So I'm going to hold them up and briefly explain them. If you would like one, put it in the comments. We'll go kind of first come first served for each of these books. It may be that some of them, nobody really wants, and that's fine, because I've probably got quite a few to post here, and that could mount up, especially if you're not in the UK. But I would be delighted to share any of them with anyone particularly anyone who's doing a bit of a kind of a read around the world thing themselves, or is trying to diversify where the books they read come from. Feel free to grab one of these off me. So I'm going to start with The Crossing, a story of East Timor or Timor-Leste. I did a buddy read of this with Isa, and then so she read it in Portuguese and I read it in English, and it's a really interesting book that sort of no, it's not autobiographical, but it is kind of, the author's very much drawn on his own experience, and definitely you will learn a whole lot about Timor-Leste or East Timor by reading this book. So that's one. Number two, one that again I just reviewed, and that's Anise Colt's book of poetry, At the Edge of the Night, and some interesting, angry poems by an older woman poet from Luxembourg. And this book, I would say, probably ideally should go to someone who reads both English and French, because it's a dual language edition, and I certainly got a lot from looking at the French as well as the English. Next one, Told by Starlight in Chad. Okay, so I think you can guess where the author of this book comes from. Yeah, Chad, the African country. And again, it's translated by Karen Hare Hernig. This one came out in 2007. It's a little thin book. It's not a novel. It's a book of stories, as it says. The author, Joseph Brahim Said, was trying to capture in print some of the traditional stories from the oral tradition of storytelling in Chad before they're lost because traditional stories tend to in many places are starting to die out, and if they don't get into print they may disappear. A nice book, not a great book, but a nice book. Next one, this is actually a damn fine novel, I would say. It's A Girl Called Eel by Ali Zamir, and it's a book from the Comoros Islands. Yeah, don't get a whole load of novels from somewhere as small as the Comoros Islands, do you? And it's set in the Comorian island of Anjouan, and it's about a female character. It's quite fable-like, except it's also very much about contemporary Comorian life and society and being. I was stunned when I realised that it was written by a man, because it feels like it really gets inside the head of a young woman really, really effectively. It was translated by Anissa Abbas Higgins from, I think, the French. Yeah, I think he wrote it in French. Goody. The next three are not books written in translation. They're all books where the writer, the author, has decided to write the book in English, even though that's not their first or possibly even their second language, in order to, I guess, get greater reach with their book. This is a book of short stories, Leedra Street, by Nora Najarian. She's from Cyprus, and it looks at the how would I say? It looks at the toing and froing of the border between in Cyprus. You know how Cyprus is split, and there's the there's a sort of Turkish half and a Greek half, and this really explores the almost like the no man's land between the two, and the impact of having a border like that in a small country, a small island, as it were. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of short stories, but there's some good ones in here. Now then, this one, Mema by Daniel Mengara, is a book from Gabon, and he English is not his first language, but he now, I think, works at a university in the States. He studied in France, so in Gabon and in and in France and in the United States. And this is I suppose you describe it as, well, it's a story of a woman. It's Mema, means mother, um, and it, it again, I think it's sort of semi-autobiographical and a celebration of the role of women and of mothers in particular in Gabonese society. It's like culture in transition, I guess. Yeah. Again, it's not like the best written book, but the content is fascinating. Yeah. And finally, one a bit like the stories from Chad. This one is Why Goats Smell Bad by and Other Stories from Benin by Raouf Mama. And again, English is not his first language, but he now lives and works in the United States, and he has a conscious mission of wanting to share the traditional stories of Benin, and yeah, they're almost like, yeah, the traditional tales, to keep them alive and to share them with people outside of Benin. So yeah, good fun, full of great characters like Yogbo the Glutton, and yeah, fun. So thank you, oh lovely 1,000 subscribers. Do ask me if you want one of those books. As I say, I will post them anywhere. If you don't live in the UK, I hope you really want the book if I'm going to post it to the other side of the world. But I'm very happy to do that if you do. It would bring me great happiness to share these books with a wider audience. Oh, I'm going to celebrate this milestone in a couple of other ways, I think. And so there'll be a couple more videos coming in the next couple of weeks. One is I've got in mind a new kind of occasional series of videos, which I'm going to call BookTube Made Me Do It. So watch out for that. And the other is I promised that if I got to 1,000 subscribers, I would do the tag created a couple of years ago by Kelly of Books I'm Not Reading, called My Neck of the Woods, which is about writers from the place where you live. And I'm so looking forward to sharing with you some of the authors who lived or worked or wrote about Sussex, where I've lived for the last 30 years. So roll on that one too.